Good morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm actually at the high energy portion of the song. Alright, actually, did I... It's all fully updated? Yeah, okay, so offline, I did a little bit of lineage tagging. Just can I go through say, well, take our lowest numbered lineage depth, say their lineage is their parent, and then try to fix up everything again. See how many people that fills in, which unfortunately does when there's data loss, doesn't always get a whole lot of people. Other thing is, instead of going to the max lineage overall, I started going to the max lineage that was untagged, and then actually just to exactly those depths that were untagged. Because you actually had a couple of big gaps in there, just places where there were people living, and there happened to be some data loss. The other bit, and I forget, this might have been a local request cache. So I've got, no, lives controller. We now have expires in, and that's, I don't necessarily like how this word turned out, but we're targeting about 9:10 when we think it'll be done, because it should be running at 9 UTC. And application controller is defining that as a minimum of 1 hour from the current time, because if you come in like right before or like if you come in like right after the time it actually updates, but it hasn't actually updated, you could like get a 24-hour thing. Was my concern, I guess. I guess really just setting the time to farther ahead sort of does that. So either if it's early enough today, if it's not tomorrow. I guess I'm only doing this based on hour. But yeah, only the hour is where it's going to change over for day. So it's either today if it's early enough, or tomorrow if it's late enough, or if it's later. So that will be a nice cleanup thing when we start doing more with parameters. I do want to work a little bit on front end, but not a lot of it yet. So the thing that before I really start using this, I kind of want to improve our data formats. So right now, what we're returning is pretty much just straight up arrays. But it's pretty common practice when doing APIs to return an object. And in that object, you have the opportunity to return some metadata, such as the total number of rows, if you are limiting rows, which we can potentially do. I don't have full support for pagination style stuff yet, but having the object level there will hopefully make that a slightly more compatible upgrade when the time comes. Lives controller. So right now, we're doing wrap. And right now the presenter is an individual item presenter, whereas, well, I mean, that's the main thing we need. To return a count, we have to have the count. Oh, other thing I need to do is I need to be able to disable this while we're in development and constantly iterating on formats. And the annoying thing is it's so like woven in here. It's not easy to just pick one section that takes care of it. Well, I guess we could sort of pull this out. So I could just say end of production. Load config, up config. Application configuration object, config, just variable, Rails 4. Okay, that section seems to be gone. Initialization files. Or just config. Config for payment. Oh, payment. Okay. So we can just, well, I guess if I want to do this, I should check if disable caching. Is there a global? Just response headers. That's rack cache. Action caching. Okay, I don't see a default variable for it. So these are config variables, so we would want to default Does this have anything about order in here? What did I change? Oh, I was starting to think about reordering stuff. Config environments take precedence over specified here. Maybe I should just actually include it. So development, cache classes. Oh. Caching dev. Perform caching. By default, caching is disabled. So this is development. Different store and production. Cache classes. So is it by default on? Oh, perform caching action mailer. But I thought I was in development mode and I was getting my cache headers. Maybe those are like default cache headers? But this seems to suggest... Oh, okay, what's development doing? There might be a bunch of stuff on startup. Okay, caching is false, but I was developing and seeing headers. So that's just like default stuff. Public file server headers. But if this is saying in dev, this is probably a decent place to toggle it, because it's saying caching dev. Config dot and then production. Would that be a not found if it was a test? Alright, lives controller. So I was looking at rearranging this to say if default would be true. Oh, but if stale actually configures a response. But that's sort of okay. We have to find query to evaluate this, though. Well, I mean, that's sort of okay. Or we just check the condition twice. All right, get that contained because we're going to add some stuff. Oh, but how do we access rails.configuration? And that's an extra condition here too. I guess we could do something like all right, localhost 5,000 lives. Well, no, yeah, actually the last hour. Unknown pattern. Oh, right, because you started up before that. Now, they said you could do not set. Oh, that's probably under X. Or do we just define... So it should always exist. Two of four, no content. Where's our max birth time? If period last minus, now didn't I have logging hooked up? Select schema migrations. So I never actually asked for the results. Oh. So do we still have cache headers from yesterday? Cache control, no cache. So that much seems to be working. Oh, this is weird. Because we don't have a default value on this. There we go. Max age 0, private must revalidate. Automatic e-tag. Max age. Guess this must just be default headers. And then, actually in theory we have hooked this up to this. Now this is still going to be when it loads. Oop. Wrong window. What is now being cached. And you are returning max age, last modified. Oh, and this doesn't get e-tag now, because it's not the automatic stuff. Alright, so that just proves that that is doing what we want. Oh, we need to check monuments as well. Alright, so query expires in. Okay, we had to actually do the query here. Because we depend on that for determining our date. So that's the structure. You've got your own expires in. You've got your own stale. Did I not relaunch the server? Kind of. Okay, so you're currently sending stuff. And oh, okay. Automatically kills it, apparently. Unless I restarted it. And that's all, well, e-tags are probably fine for our purposes. Oops. And I probably copied that. And that's production. Disable cache headers in development. Okay. So this thing by itself, well, this thing wraps an array by itself. I guess we could go to point presenter. Because our monuments query has already done the results. Because we need it for determining stale. And what you want to return now, this actually isn't going to be quite right. Because this includes the limit. So that is necessarily going to be... Well, is that the case? DB lives. Yep. So if I want to limit it, I have to get the count without the limit. Unless there's a way to remove the limit clause. Wow, it actually just... it's like, surely this is my history by now. Limit offset unlimited. Okay. I can say query dot unlimited dot count. Okay, second question. Should we do lives or should we do a generic? Well, if I ever wanted to do, well, if I was doing multiple data sets, then they would individually have to be returned to get a separate count anyway, or total anyway. Right now, there's only one possible response here. And are we doing this in our controller yet? So this is going to be point presenter dot response for query. Hello, Fichetti. How's it going? All right, so we got data. We got 100 lives in the last hour. Might make sense. Okay, and now that might be a little bit different for monuments. Because this did its query up front because it needed to get our max date. So I don't have quite as nice of a way to get the total. Well, I guess I could have it take an optional pre-queried data set. Actually, this actually might need to turn into a lives presenter at some point. Just right now, I was only doing point data. Doing okay. I guess it's been kind of hot lately, so I'm not feel like I'm sleeping super well. Of course, I just never feel like I'm sleeping super well. Monuments with a default value of... Do I still have this? Unless it's 1. Nope. All right, so I take care of the data set. Monuments. Query. So you can render... Yes, you query that. That lets us, since we've already got it in memory, we'll just get the maximum that way. Now I could get the query, have the query do a max. That's an extra database call. Of course, what am I doing for lives? That's exactly what I'm doing. It's just a bigger query. I guess that would be a bit more consistent, even though it's an extra call. This would be query.max. Then we don't need to mess with any of this stuff. Oops. That would have been a fun little error. All right, so now we got a data and a total. Now, well, what I'm asking for right now is exactly this. So if we do server ID, we get a hopefully much smaller data set. Yeah, 57. All right, so now we've got a shell that we can put other stuff into if we need to. Well, I guess I could go over and check that against our client. Oop. Well, that's a dead shell. Probably in the root of that directory. Well, yeah, actually just, nah. Yeah, the file one might not be okay. It's the search that just goes off and dies. Of course, that can kind of go off and die as well. No. Fine, wait for it. Didn't I have... Oh, no, actually... All right. So this is... Maybe it was... Okay, yes, they've not really... Oh, actually, no, because this is old. Because I wanted to go back and use my old files for a little bit. Okay, so we were on here. All right, so now we get data. So this should be data.data. And I have monuments hooked up here too. Yeah. And okay, we appear to have got that data. We do not appear to have got that bit of data. Since that data for each is not a function. Data array. It's dot options dot data. Oh, you're from 300. 300. Is the points. Although, oh, actually 144. So why did we even get monuments? Okay, so all the different monuments. Oh, maybe I was running this on the cached before. $158. Ah, and a second use of it. Data.length. I've already got a thing called response. Invalid lat long object. Undefined, undefined. Okay, well that's a data problem. So we must have some junk. Oh man, there's so many records in there. Oh wait, was that after? I can't get a, I would need to catch this to get a stack trace probably. That sure looks like it's in the response to this, but What if, well, you'd cause your own problems. Because this data doesn't fit anymore. But if that error goes away. Okay, so it is one of the monuments. Or maybe there is something parallel going on? Oh, or maybe it's in the marker definition, sort of implicitly doing that. In monuments, oh, right, we're in JavaScript now. Maybe it's down here? No, it shouldn't be jumping on that one. Done. Invalid let long object. I'm gonna have to switch it over to leaflet source here, because it does not seem to be picking up the source map. Is it just... Okay, I probably don't need the spam now. Doesn't seem to be you, doesn't seem to be you, doesn't seem to be you, doesn't seem to be you. Oh, it actually recognizes the file now. And a subfile. Although 32.8, it did not jump me directly to the line. Isnan, lat long. Well, I mean, this gives me a place I can break on now. It's kind of hard doing this in a big old line before. Call stack. Oh, it is set view. Okay, it is you. I really want, well, I want to know what you are, and I want to know what the heck we're looking up here. Oh, I'm probably going to have to possibly disable that. Oh yeah, this is not showing up in order here. Well, oh, this is a thing I missed updating. No, actually, it's backwards, but this is XY. But we still have you. What? Where's my call stack? Okay, sure. Maybe I've still got some caching stuff going on. Okay. So you use the wrapped format. Now, either I need to, I'm making like a ton of requests for monuments right now. Well, I used to be doing just an array of data to try and keep it compact, and I do want to look into something. Like protocol buffers or something. Now, are you perhaps suggesting that? Oh, okay. So, in general, in many places where points are allowed, they allow arrays. And I don't know where that happens. They might very well be converting it to a lat long, in which case that would technically be, it would be a little bit more verbose, but perhaps. Yeah, I have to figure out where they upgrade that. So yeah, well, I'd have a lot of points to convert at this stage of things. I mean, so yes, then there's some things that don't allow that shorthand. We can switch you over to source for debugging. We had added a console log to monuments. And really, that one don't want most of the time. And wrapper object. All right, so either we want to return monuments all as one and then sort them out, in which case I have to include server in the response, which might not be a terrible thing to do. Or I need to do a leaflet layer that only requests its data once added to the map. And arguably, it would be beneficial to also do that for this data, because it's not on by default. But as far as I can tell, none of the leaflet layers are lazy like that. So, what we've got right now is we set that up as a layer group, then we fetch the data and add that to the layer group. Do we have any information on when these are either enabled in the layer control or added to the map? So this would be, well, layer group or layer in general. Okay. Actually, you know what? I don't want that. I wanted fired after layer is added to the map. Okay. So we need general events. Okay, so that's This might be back here. Handlers and controls. Object on event, run handler. So we only want to do this if we've never done it before. You could use empty, although I think everyone has at least one monument now, but that I could maybe see that being true for a new not being true for a new server or something. All right, so overlays is an l.layer group. So we get an event. Well, okay, so overlays, title. So I'm guessing that that should be part of here somewhere. So we should be able to have a top level function that's like on monument layer add. Console.log arguments. And what is the context as well? On add. On monument layer add. All right, so it is object, events, layers, leaflet ID, map, map to add. So that's probably the layer control. Yeah, so I think this is the layer. The arguments are not sure about that one. Well, technically, this is the only there's one argument, and then there's other stuff that's part of arguments. Source target. Looks very similar to this. Target looks the same. Type add. That's really all we get. Okay, so target is probably fine. Oh, we do have to capture, well, is layers, I think layers is, it's an initial or implied thing of a certain argument. Console.log e.target.options. Empty object. Right. Oh, layer group might take an initial list of things to include in it. No, that's the quick start guide. Yeah, okay. So that's an argument order error. Okay, so that gives me the server information that we would need to do all of this stuff. Now, Oh, I know what we can do. We can probably modify options. Well, it doesn't tell us if it's a request outstanding. It wouldn't be so great. So we do that. That takes care of all. Yeah, all this stuff. If e.target.options. Okay, we should only do that once. Else, e.target.options.server. And I guess what we should probably do is just say like var layer equals e.target. Okay, server. So this little bit is actually going to go down. Oh, but we didn't want to add it until it was loaded. Well, we'll have to look into that. Or maybe we have some sort of. Oh, maybe we actually. Define this as the load part as a separate function. Oh wait. Oh, does this not even create them until we get it back? Oh no, not title equals. Okay, so you're recreating this. Do we? Shouldn't even need this. Alright, that's probably just gonna be. Yeah, okay, so nothing got added by default. And then that's the event firing, and if we watch network. Huh. Did I turn cache headers off? Max age 0. Well, maybe it's revalidating. So the only thing we have to do is get back our automatic add of this to the map. So for each server, so this would be something that has to happen when it gets added. So it's still kind of a double. Okay, how is, so with it fully cached, that looks fine. Oh, but I'm not fully caching it. So when we get layer.options.data equals data. I usually go. Actually, I could do this screen, but .com. It is probably about 2 hours for me. Oh, actually, this I always forget it. This is I got this as a Twitch extension down below, so that should actually put it in your local browser time zone. But yeah, usually an hour or two, depending on how caught up on stuff I am. Or if I'm still working on something, or if we just kind of wrap stuff up for the day. Okay, cool. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so the thing we want to check, and actually this is where we do kind of want something for fetches. Okay, we are not fetching the data multiple times. Okay, we're just not in the view area for that. Yeah. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a blink there. All right, so that will be a fetch. This is actually a checkpoint here. Although it's not going to be localhost. I'm going to need to go through and set those to real URLs at some point. Oh, orientation didn't change. How nice. Fetch monuments on demand. Now, can we also do that for our data points? So this is a top level thing. Probably going to have to change a little bit. Time dimension, set available times. And then this sets the data on... Oh, so arguably this would be a better way to set that data as well. Just in case there's any like event triggers or anything. Arguably, that's kind of sloppy. That could have side effects. Yeah, I'm just starting a project where they've set me up with a VM and it's VS Code. I should probably give it a fair shot. Although my fingers muscle memory is. Oh, and Captain Popton, hey. There's actually like so much stuff going on, it's not beeping at me. Okay, so that's still doing correct behavior. Did I reload this? Okay, not requests. Layers and options. Set options. All right. So okay, so either of these would have to fetch the same data. So I guess we could check the options of either of them. Oh, we've already got an add and remove. Well, on one of them. So we need to have something like right now this is going to be recent life. That's recent lives. You're not going to have a given layer. Well, so we can check either of them for the stored data. Ooh. I probably need to pull this out as a separate JavaScript file sometime. That's going to take all this stuff. This is going to check say anim overlay dot options. I can pretty much just do that. So then we fetch the data. Hey, TJ. How's it going? Wrapping up early today? Yeah, so anybody who's hanging around me has probably seen me host these Gento a lot of times. He works on a bunch of things. Worked for less than an hour. Ooh, yeah. I've had the bad days. He's responsible for the audio meters in OBS. He was doing some hardware design. He's working on a like very low level GUI toolkit right now done in C and stuff, among other things. And then he also switches over to like I'm not actually sure if it's like Rocksmith or Guitar Hero, one of those, and other games on occasion. Rocksmith, okay. Okay, so that's you. I probably need to get some variables for my servers at some point. So if we get data, oh, okay, so we're already setting the data here, so that should make that a one-off. And lazy to boot. Oh, but yeah, how about you actually hook up the events? What a novel concept. But you've already got this. Well, you're a function, so you might actually be okay. And anim overlay, point overlay. You could actually just be, oh, but if I do that, then this does actually have to be after this thing is defined. not entirely thrilled about the order of. Well, or I go back to the other function syntax that defines things ahead of time. Okay, so yes, that one was loaded offhand. So we load you. Oh, that doesn't trigger a rendering though. Or at least not the first time. Okay, so when the data comes in, we're normally fetching it in the background before things got added. So if we actually do something, when we add it, I think there's like a refresh or redraw. UI layers, basic types, probably, not that basic. This is probably methods. All right, this is still a tile layer technically. Grid layer? Updates the layer's URL. Well, apparently there is set params. Redraw. This is a path. Polyline. Grid layer. Methods for. Okay, so it's not this. Oh, these are options. These are methods. Anim overlay. Point overlay. Okay. That takes a little bit of time, but it actually does appear. And we've already got data now, so that can just pop up. And my local host has some cross-domain issue with the font they used, but that's fine. Okay, so that's as lazy as it can be. Certain views might see that as a white space change. Lazy load recent lives. Oh, yeah, monuments was using the short list. What am I using for servers? Monument, on monument layer add, server list. Yeah, this is a completely manual built-in list, which doesn't change too much. I could get that from the data server. That one could be pretty heavily cached by the CDN, so it'd probably be fine. But I don't have a server endpoint yet. So, back to the other side. These are something pretty similar. We're not going to do any. I don't have any reason to do a search on this because I expect it to be a very short list. Having it still be cacheable is good. We probably don't need to be as fancy about it. DB servers, and that's about that. Cache headers. So this is just going to be like, I don't know, 24 hours. And I know Rails has shorthands with this, but I might not want to use Rails. Well, I have to redo expires in anyway, but. Oh, I never did the parentheses in this one. Last modified. I don't currently have a last modified on that. So this might actually just be expires in. I mean, I probably could have like a most recently updated tag on the list. So it's just server name, it's just ID. It's been pretty bare bones so far. But if I don't, well, the expires in should keep upstream caches from even asking for it. So really the only thing we're doing is that. And I should probably still have something like that. Even though it's going to be very, very simple. In this one, we do actually want the IDs. So that would be one of the main things you want to get from that as far as sending queries. No. So you are going to have an ID, well, as JSON. Is there anything that we would not just return as is? Right now, no. We do have to define. Oh, because that selects the fields that we're sending. I guess this could be generalized. Oh, actually, we don't even need you. Oh, okay. That actually simplifies that a little bit. I guess I could also be doing a count of the limited query, but that's the size of the array, so I'm not sure that's super useful. Yeah, the way I'm using these, this is still, it's still going to get to. I don't know if I'm going to get to it today. Okay, and now actually, I've got cache disabled right now. Although it is doing a 3 or 4. Max age, private must revalidate. Oh, maybe it's revalidating and seeing it's the same e tag, which is must be a default Rails thing. All right, now, okay, so that's, oh, you know what? Did I decide? Yep. Well, fortunately, these are mostly new files, so if I just sort of do that. I was going to test this out in the front end, got to go back and commit it. Wrap responses. Object map. All right, get status. All right, so now come back to you. So this we always will. So this we will have to fetch in order to fill this out. Oh. So I was mainly doing those things just for ordering. I presume there is a way to dynamically add things to the control. Excuse me. And overlay controllers. So that's theoretical. Layers. Oh, sort layers, sort function. Okay. Okay, there's an add overlay. So we can, in fact, come back and do that. On monument layer add. Oh, this also isn't going to sort. chronological order, so it's not going to put big server 2 near the top. I might just have to deal with that. Alright, so we've got you. Alright, so response. Actually, there was something else we had to do. Response.json. It's going to be a different server. All right, so this is going to be each server. We want var. Do we need the full name for anything? I don't think we need the full name for anything. Equals server.server name. Is it replaced in JavaScript? Okay, title server. This should really be server ID equals server.id. I don't necessarily need the collection of overlays even now. Overlays title. Oh, but we don't have. All control.layers. Okay, we did not keep a reference to that. So I was doing that after we defined everything. That might be okay because it's asynchronous, but I still don't like it. Here's control.add overlay. And title. Okay, server ID. Server ID. If O. So this needs to be something more like server ID. That's not going to work either. Actually, we could use short here. And start enabled. I guess I could have something in the servers table that actually said which one's our current default. If there.options that's start enabled. String literal. That explains some of the syntax weirdness. Unfortunately, it puts big server 2 on the bottom. Although it might be a little bit better if we're not in debug mode. And all of these are still fine. Cool. Fetch server list. We still have our default, our life server constrained. Well, yeah, in our default server. All right, so things we need to start thinking about to get this out is we're going to need like a base URL. And it's been convenient to have it as a single file, but I should probably start getting this into a proper JavaScript so I don't have all the syntax errors. Style, I don't mind as much. But this has started getting pretty big. Oh, that puts everything at top level scope. Oh, hmm. Hmm, 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 hmm. Okay, it's just really far away. And I forgot about the tiles. I probably need to exclude those from search. Oh, but I've got lots of other tiles now. Okay. Most of them are not going to be very big. Probably should just have a subdirectory for tiles with data sets in it. That would kind of be a big deal to move stuff now. The subdirectory, do we care? All right, can that complete? Yay! All right, so now, maybe I should be thinking about moving my scripts around as well. But okay. Map container not found. Oh, because this immediately runs. So this actually has to run. This at least has to run there. And, So the style sheets are supposed to be up here. The scripts are supposed to be at the bottom. I kind of don't like the fact that we break up pairs, but it's kind of convenient to keep them all together. Okay, so that extracts that. Uh, hmm. If I ever do a lot of other code in here, well, I probably need to break some of this up into separate files also. Because I've got all of my custom layers and things. So we'll figure it out if we need to. Yeah, copy. All right. And then in the JavaScript file, well, there's actually, I think I might actually end up with two. Everything we're doing now is going to go to a set that has the CDN. And then if I start doing dynamic more dynamic queries, I might skip the CDN and just rely on the caching headers. So we have now right now we're just doing and then if we get these it would be and I still haven't tested this yet because I kind of didn't want to get all the cast stuff wound up, which actually is a well, I guess the way around the heavy caching is to have like a cache busting tag I can throw onto things. So directly speaking, I think I've got a redirector set up. I haven't really tested it yet. And then this would be, well, actually, cache, well, it should really be the same site. Data cache. And then the CDN just sets up the redirect there. And I could probably use it for redirection too. It just, I don't like extra layers. So everywhere we see localhost, so monuments, we're going to want cached API. Lives, for our local 48, we're going to want cached API. Servers is going to be cached API. I'm starting to doubt including the slash in it because that's well, you're never going to not have that, but it makes it clearer that it's like root of the thing. And then this we're not using yet. All right, we got our server list. We got that. We got our births. I don't know of a better way to supply those parameters. I guess I could have a config.js that defined that stuff globally. Which would have the advantage that I could actually do some juggling with that, where it's not necessarily checked into source control. And then I can override it locally quite easily. So I don't currently have an include mechanism unless I start doing like require.js stuff, which, I mean, we kind of had a list of JavaScript files there. That cannot be all contained. Oh, it could perhaps be scoped. And then there's a question of whether you do example. All right. Well, make sure that still works. Index. Now, for you purposes, I might want to. Okay. Yeah, got our servers, got that. Got that. And so I can override this locally. Well, repository being that is fine. It's really what we publish to the server. Which right now is just sort of a sync operation. And arguably we could put more things in there like various tile URLs, which I've currently kind of gotten the same setup. Tile layer, tiles, crucible. I think those are the main data sets we use. And I don't currently have any need to vary them. Crucible tiles. And I forgot the quote here. So that could allow you to actually host this one place and the tiles someplace else. It kind of just ended up being convenient to host the HTML on the same CDN as the tiles. Now these we don't tend to need as much. As the API. And okay, T is undefined. T must be the tile. Oh, helps you save the file. Missing after property ID. Ah. Okay, so you're there. So if I made a path structure in the API that was representable as ordinary file URLs, you could conceivably go back to static stuff. But if its general purpose is a search API, you start to get into these awkward situations there. I mean, like monuments for server, you could probably do like server X monuments. Server X lives recent. And if you get really fancy, these become functions that say what you're doing. But the data server URLs, I don't know if I want to get that crazy. But conceivably, you could define all of those URLs here. Well, some of them need data arguments. Yeah, do something like this where it gets parameterized. Then I'd need my own little engine for that. Extract some URLs into config file. Okay. So I'm going to need to publish the server, do some testing to make sure that we appear to be returning correct data. Oh, and the possible cache bust thing. That would be one option. All right. So I don't remember if we get any account information here. Push Urku. And you're up to date, right? Yeah. All right, so we want to know things like, well, here's a pretty safe file. Oh, this is a new one. So base level. Okay, we got servers. Did this get set up? Okay, this is set up properly. And then we've got, is it data cache? No. Specified host, specified key. All right, so I'm going to have to check that config. Or maybe it was cached data. CloudFront. Okay, let's search the server. It should be data cache. Maybe I don't have the path pattern formed correctly. Oop. Well, I mean, okay, that one I can believe. Oh, maybe it needs to be /*. Because the base is default star. Now that might need, yeah, that might need to update though. All right, so that is a relative path. No, you're not here. So for testing, you would have to do, well, servers is brand new. That never existed before, so that's fine. Other things we need to test. Oh, no, you're localhost. So direct reference, you're an indirect reference, because the other caching layer isn't going to come into it. Actually, I probably haven't fetched this. Okay, your data wrapped. Okay, so direct access to data. This would be cached if it was cached. I guess we can do you for a bit and go back. Okay, you're good. Oh, there it is. Took a little bit longer. Okay, that seems to be okay. So I just have to work out the subpath patterns on the CDN. What else can we be doing in the meantime? So one of my problems with, well, I'm probably going to need to have like a general query layer in various variations. It's like we got a lot of servers, we got a lot of different data types per server. This layers control doesn't necessarily do it. You almost want to like select a server and then you have like sublayers in that. Tile and image layers, overlay interaction. Which layer is under a screen coordinate? Dynamic data loading, real-time, GeoJSON. I guess markers could have been done as GeoJSON. It just seemed kind of heavyweight, but there's few enough of them. Overlay display. User interface. Control panel. Okay, just a couple buttons and some of these other things, I guess. Context menu. I mean, sidebar might actually be one of the things we kind of want. Tabbed successor. Listing markers, 2 sidebars. Well, I might want to be doing that higher level stuff in a different way. Tile legend. I thought I had seen a like multi-layer layer control or multi-level layer control. Well, any pretty common layer config. Here maps. WMS base map format's not what we need. Raster files, non-base map layers. Boundary canvas. Multiple tile layers transparent. Multi-tile layer comprised from several sources. Overlay data formats. Data providers. Oh wait, this is controls? Markers and renderers. Any amount of, does not show any more than a certain amount of markers. Feature groups that add their child layers into a parent group. Geometry management. To search features of GeoJSON. Markers, features, layer group, GeoJSON. My custom property. Search box. GeoJSON. Oh, layer switching controls. Automatically for multiple map servers. Switch between different layers. Styled layer, grouped layer. Change overlay order, categorize layers. Groups of layers. Layer tree. Currently active layers on the map. Ah. Radio button panel, select tag. So this is for base layers. We don't have a lot of base layers right now. And it looks like it's a pop-up for the overlays as well. I mean, it does kind of solve the volume problem. Okay, so this just adds categories into the list. I think, source code. Looks like it might be doing something with this. but it's archived and has no demo or image. Name icon layer group. Collapse some layer groups. What does a collapsed layer group look like? Okay, so that's just a little side thing. Collapsible panel. Oh. Okay, so that would be... Well, I don't like the way it changes size, but... Also, well, it collapses, but it doesn't disappear quite as much. Groups of layers. Okay, so these things are... So my biggest concern right now is it kind of stays there the whole time. Preview. Oh, this is the, it lets you order it, okay. Okay, so that toggles, it doesn't collapse at all. Okay, so this might make it a little, well, it's just, well, this is only base layers so far. Options. Yeah, okay, so that's, yeah, and then this is, maybe not quite as nice. Where is, no, I guess it's about as much of a pop-up. So that would allow you to do a little bit of stuff as far as different options for data sets and things. And then these are all of my data tests. So that would allow you to have like, well, would you do, well, you don't, Can individual things have, well, this is still broken down, at least in this example. And the size changes are a little bit disturbing. Because I'm wondering if I should be breaking it down by server or maybe by layer type and then by server. That would at least cleanly separate overlays from base layer. And mostly it's going to be overlays. Does start to make it a lot more clicks to get to stuff. So right now, you're very often going to want to go to like that. Maybe we expand big server 2 by default. Create your layers tree. Overlays tree options. So base layers, children, label children. So it's either label layer or label children. Collapse tree, expand tree. Oh, but I'd have to keep around an in-memory tree and then reset it apparently. You may be notified if you registered these events. Valid elements are children, label, the layer itself. Displayed in the toggle when control is minimized. Only when named toggle is true and with base layers. Overlays group. A leaf node without layer is possible. Commands calling a JavaScript function. So what would we do with that? We could make a request for another server's recent data, which probably isn't tell that much in most cases, but be something. Well, I probably need to get this version published. All right, are you okay? You are deployed. I guess I closed that. Or maybe I have a bad forwarding URL, because it does seem to be waiting now. And since we might have to wait for the server to start up, we do have to wait a little bit. Empty body. 404. Alright, I may have to look at that some other time. I need to start looking at logs and things. This might work, but I might want to get some version of this out before we start doing too much more. I mean, that's just a caching. Well, if I'm not, well, no, I'm lazy loading now, so that takes care of the big bulk load problem. So in theory, wrong one. We set you up to go directly to that. And we think there aren't any changes right now. I should. Or would the tag even be a config thing? Well, I guess that would be if the server changed. You'd update the config to add the cache buster tag. Where does that go in the stack? The thing is, it matters whether your first parameter is question mark parameter or ampersand parameter. And some things don't have parameters and other things do. I guess we could say that we're always going to add that parameter and then anything else would be adding ampersands. All right, so that might be doable. Do I have any changes here? Okay, just that stuff. Now, what would I need to do? Now, I did do some work and I found a way to get the the GraphViz stuff working with the server I've got. I just have absolutely no interface to find things. Now, at one point, not sure I ever used you. I was working on some UI that took. Oh, this actually was based on this renderer. Well, the one I'm using right now still has to do the full thing to do. It still has to use GraphViz just to even do GraphViz text. Is that renderer? I don't know if that's got a useful return value. How far did I get in this? Family tree viewer. Okay, so it's just a viewer that could take a parameter of a a target URL, huh? And did we, yeah, we put one file in there. So what I really want to do is I'd get that to, well, I can actually fetch an SVG now, and it's just, And then what we want to do with this is set up all of the like, well, I don't have a name search yet. So we'd also need some backend support for that, but let's see, what we get from the basic lineage server is a name search. You can possibly do hashes as well once you found your own, or if you knew your own. I'm still uncertain whether to provide a search feature for that. Maybe we put that off for another project. It might have some sort of background time on exactly what we need to do to get this going. Well, I set it up as a viewer. I'm going to need some UI to select stuff. And this, and I'm going to need to update, figure out how I actually want the data server to return that. Because I might be able to set this up where we do a pure JavaScript thing. We just grab lives, at which point I need a lineage search. Oh, you know what? How about we just do some front end features? Well, as much as I want to get the current thing going, there is a bunch of stuff that we've been wanting for a while. Okay, so you're the map, you're the config. We can go back to local for this. There's a couple of things that, like you typically see in maps, like the ability to, well, Might work here. Actually, on the front of UI, do I want, if I'm going to start doing like URL parameters and things, well, URL parameters I could maybe do outside. Oh, well, here's something. I think the eaves as big circles are like too big in this version of the map. When I first did it, they were relatively rare and they could kind of appear anywhere. Now it's a very regular pattern, barring resets. And it can really blot stuff out. I think it is 10 padding, which is based on, yeah. Although sometimes it didn't even seem to it like it was enough. And you see that doesn't hardly stick out at all. I might need to actually do some kind of completely different marking. Or what if radius, we just did that. I mean, we don't even run into variable then. More like that, and no, I think I've only set, well, it should be something, right? Yeah, well, I mean, that's, oh, but you can really see the, oh, because we turned down our padding. Can really see the tile edges. Oh, another thing I wanted to do with this is the time control actually has support for saying, well, are you ready yet? So if I did something a little bit more subtle with that, it wouldn't quite, yeah, you're just a very faded color. Wouldn't quite blot things out. And some of these colors just, nah, maybe do some color work too. So I guess the bigger circles did have a little bit of advantages showing up. So either just make that a more faded thing or fill style. Okay, so it's still a muddy mess at distance. But that does, well, it almost still shows up too much. But it doesn't completely blot things out. And when you do something else at that distance, because I guess one thing I don't like about this whole thing is it kind of obscures the, well, even without anything special, it kind of obscures the town density. Although it obscures it less at this detail level. Or do we just set stroke style to something constant? Hmm. Now I applied, yeah, we applied global alpha to the entire thing based on age. Well, if we set that will also make it more subtle. Once we find the right value. At least I think it's stroke width. Okay. Line width. Yeah, now it's too thin. Okay, that doesn't quite blot things out. Some of these people have very faded colors. So we're doing the color algorithm to be maybe like pure hue, saturation, lightness, and like only select the hue possibly? How does this look? I suppose if we want to be really fancy, we could be animating this. As a little pop ring or something. Okay. No. So we've got an A, which we're treating as an alpha, but it's pretty much a straight gradient. Which is going to go from 1 minus time minus birth time, so current time, and do we set A equal to something? Just because we set context global alpha, and then that's that. I mean, we could read that back. But you're going to be a 1 to 0. We actually want to increase. So you're the opposite. For each point, all right, this radius can go back to here. Ring equals or maybe we just go back to having a t parameter. Well, over the span of that, t is actually fully faded. That'd be the largest circle, right? All right, so basic view. Okay, that's not what we wanted. Neither is that. Okay, no, nothing there. So if that's 1 minus, we're still drawing this, right? Oh, maybe we're not still drawing this. Oh, there we are. All right. It's going to kill us, but... Oh. Oh, now we get a syntax error. Oh. Okay, bunch of advancing t's. Oh, wait. You can actually see it sometimes. Might just be that it fades out by the time it gets anywhere. And we need to fix our default value. Yeah, so in that case, yeah, maybe it actually needs to be larger in that case. Hey, seahorse. Okay, yeah, I need to fix my default case. Yeah, it's already got a pretty big ring by the time I notice it. So that would have to be sort of, oh? Well, at this scale, it's a lot easier to see. Or maybe I'm just getting better colors. Maybe the early ones are still hidden by the dot, so it really needs to be like... start at the edge. So what we want, so that's animation progress. Yeah, for alpha we fade out, but for animation progress we fade forward. So for our purposes, we actually have to say that's there. Yeah, so there's your default state. Maybe you want a thicker line while animating? Because for this view, that seems just enough to not really get in the way. But now we have to sort of judge things based on that. So that's going to straight up return if there's nothing to draw. All right, so when we draw everything, it's there. When we go for these, Maybe the movement isn't actually helping. Well, I guess it helps a little bit with these that are kind of faded out. Let's get a better chance to notice movement. And we look at this. It's not quite as blotted out, but you can still... And... Oh! These aren't eaves. Interesting. We still got our miscellaneous people out there. I'd swear that they were eve-sized dots before. Well, they still kind of drown it out. But at least they're not actually blocking as much. Let's have a lot of fairly muted colors right now. That might be a thing. All right, so that was one of the easy things. As far as other features, I mean, you'd eventually like to have a nice little query interface, which I might want to do something more like Elm for all the data fetching stuff. Oh, one of the things that might not, well, one of the things we might want to be able to do is to, well, this shows interactive, is to be able to, well, I'm not shipping name data yet. So that is something we're going to have to be able to provide. Well, name data, much of anything else. To provide in the data layer. Which is easy enough to do, but how big are our files right now? Request header, header, response. Well, I mean, there is a size here. Oop. Tried to parse it. I just can't see the units. $800 kilobytes. Well, if we had names, that's going to be even more. How much would that add to it? It's kind of turning into more of a life presenter, but well, Not as much as you might think. Okay. So if we have, I think we based it on a grid layer. Well, there's a couple things we might want to do. One of them is get coordinates. One of them is get data. Okay, so you're this thing. You are a grid layer. This might even be a general layer thing. Update an idle, bounds, probably an event. Pop-up events, pop-up open, tooltip open, tooltip close. Methods. So does it have to be a marker? Bubbling mouse events. And the marker is moved or by, oh, so you can support drag, okay. Oh, so interactive layer, not emit mouse events. Some layers could be made interactive. Who inherits from interactive layer? Markers. Markers. Image overlay. Video overlay. SVG overlay. Polyline. The grid layer is supposed to be a background thing. So what we'd really end up having to do is to look at interactive layer and just do it ourselves. Inherits. Oh. Add interactive target. Evented. Marker. Is it like so abstract it doesn't exist? Div overlay. Layer.include. Canvas renderer. We made interactive. Mouse events. Well, and it doesn't add a whole lot. So a lot of these things, well, a lot of them are single words, so you don't get to see if they're using a particular case. But it's like, if it's in the documentation's generated from the source, inherits. Yeah, it just seems to be an interactive flag. It controls whether they add stuff to it. So so these are default options. Yep. So we actually have to do this. Isn't there something you do when defining an extend? DOM utility? MISC? Class factories, inheritance, extend. Options. So extend, emerge with the parent instead of overwriting it completely. And what did we do with but is bind pop-up a marker-specific thing? All layers share a set of methods convenient for binding pop-ups to it. Well, a pop-up is a very static thing. Events. Click. So this would have to be, I guess we'd mostly want to do, There's actually going to be an event bind, not a layer specific thing. So you're going to have your data. Console.log. I mean, really, it should just be E. We kind of see their pattern from before. Pointer overlay, point overlay. Okay, so interactive is not sufficient to, maybe Nope. Click tolerance. The image overlay will emit mouse events. Div overlay. Get events. Hold up on click. Pop-up handlers added. Bind pop-up, unbind pop-up. Layer.include. Different format of bind. Evented. Yep. On click. So why prevent map click? Oh, that's open pop-up. Get events. Leaflet clickable. On container, on click. Okay, so that's the container thing. Is it the individual tiles that need the event? Oh. Layer.options.interactive. Layer contains point. Is it pause? Is it All right, so. Oh no, wait, are you? Yeah. Maybe it's a canvas renderer. All right, so on click. It's that draw first. dot contains point. Dot map. Okay, that's not it. It's not a canvas renderer. I don't think it has on click. Out reordering. All layers clickable by default. Marker options, label options. Is this old then? Not terribly old. I think this is a different problem. Yeah, that's clickable, not interactive. Only makes that. So maybe there's something else blocking it. Click through multiple layers. Topmost layer. Overlay pane. Asking each individual event. I mean, maybe it's pointer events too. So that's the top level thing. Control container. Where are you? Shadow overlay, marker. Okay. I know one of them is my, well. Okay, so there's something in addition to the one that I've got. There are tiles in it. Pointer events, none. Leaflet tile container. So maybe the interactive layer is partly CSS. All right, well, I guess this is the battle I don't want to fight right now. because now it's starting to get a little bit later. I'd kind of like to eat lunch. So that's it for now. Let's see. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Jinta for bringing some friends. Thanks to everybody else that hosted me. Let's see, what do we have to recommend? And then schedule-wise, I expect to be back to this on Friday. See if we can figure out some more stuff. What do we have? Well, Makings of a Hero looks like she's doing some shader stuff. She's working on an RTS MOBA, so if you're interested in any kind of game development, she's pretty good at talking through what she's doing. If you're looking for someplace cool to hang out, that's someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye, and until next time.